Hello everyone, I'm Thea Shangalaya, General Manager of Know Entrepreneur, and we have a very interesting guest today, Mr. David Lee, who is a former CEO of Magticom telecommunication company and former president of American Chamber of Association, and right now he's co-founder and CEO of European Business Association. Hello, Mr. David Lee. Nice to meet you. Thank you for coming for the interview. So I would like to ask you a couple of questions regarding, so you've been living here many years now. Like, how many years have you been living here?
I came to Georgia in February of 2004.
Wow. So that's a long time. That's great. And why have you chosen Georgia over other countries where you lived before?
I'd lived in many countries around the world, Yemen and Russia and Singapore. And in February of 2004, after the Rose Revolution, the company that I worked for, Media, repositioned me from Moscow, where I was, to come here because of the Rose Revolution. And following the Rose Revolution, the shareholder in one of our companies, Magticom, had been falsely arrested. And there was a bit of a crisis, so that was the kind of job I did for them. So I came in and I became the CEO of Magticom on the 28th of February 2004. And I like it.
Yeah,
So
that's great.
I never left because I think Georgia is a wonderful country, and I never wanted to leave, and I'm still here.
That's great. That's great. So something has attracted you in Georgia, maybe culture, food, I don't know, people.
Yeah. The main thing I like about Georgia is that when I came, clearly, at that time, there'd been a revolution, things were very bad, and I was used to that because I'd been in Eastern Russia in 1994. I was in Eastern Russia. 91, I was in Yemen. So Georgia was not the worst place I'd been at all, but it wasn't particularly good. There was a lot of infrastructure problems. The electricity didn't work. But even in 2004, society was relatively calm. There was a great deal of optimism, I think, at that time in Georgia, and hope. And I think that's a good starting point, because I came in when things were quite bad, and each year I see progress, and that's quite rare. I think I don't know of a country which for such a long time, almost 20 years now, you can say that every year it's got better. At least most of things have got better. Sometimes we have a bit of a dip, like with this coronavirus, but there's nothing I know of today, for example, that's worse than it was 5 years ago. And there's nothing 5 years ago that's worse than it was, say, 10 years ago. So it's just nice to be on this escalator of progress. Yeah, I like it here.
Yeah, that's great. I'm very happy to hear that from a British person like you. Yeah, Corona has affected a lot of other countries, so it can be a reason. So did you have any obstacles coming to Georgia? Have you faced any obstacles coming to Georgia, or it was very easy and smooth?
You mean when I first came here in 2004? Well, no, in 2004, this was not an easy country particularly. I think when my company asked me to come, I remember my boss saying that you need to come to Georgia. And I said, sure. And I'd been in Moscow for 2 years. I was a director of a big phone company there called Comstar. And I said to him, when should I come? And he said, the tickets are in the office in Tverskaya. You fly tomorrow morning. And I said,
So you didn't have time to think?
no. Well, I suppose I could have said. And I remember I'd been with the company 2 years, the company I was with, Comstar, and he said, you just need to come. And I said, well, how bad can it be? And he said, David, we're calling you, so that's how bad it is. You know, we have a problem here, and you need to get there, and we'll sort out the shareholders at Comstar. So the Russian shareholders, will tell them what's happened, and you need to be here tomorrow. And then that day I signed the contract to take over as the CEO of Magticom. So there were some serious problems in Georgia in 2004. Yeah. I mean, serious problems. And we got those things sorted out. It took a while. And then I stayed because, Magticom it still is an outstanding company. And I was very proud to go in as a general director. It was a huge opportunity. And we sorted out the problems and we grew. And it's nice to be in something that's growing. And I think that's just a credit to Magticom, but it's also a credit to the country because we showed what could be done if you have a good team and you're in Georgia, and there's nothing you can't do if you have a good team and you're in Georgia, which is why I have a good team and I'm in Georgia.
So I guess a good team should be controlled with someone very experienced like you. So I guess you contributed a lot in this company, working there for 8 years. So thank you for that.
No, I was there for 12 years. Very long time. The longest period I'd ever, no, not at all. The longest period I'd ever worked in a company was for
wow,
Magticom,
so
yeah.
It was so comfortable that even it lasted for 12 years.
Yeah, I mean, it's a nice story because it had a product, it had a relatively small customer base, and it just grew and grew and grew and grew. And I think any person in business likes to be in a company that's growing and is breaking into new areas, particularly in the technology field. So that was great, and I enjoyed that. Yeah.
So of course, a good team helps the company to grow.
Yeah.
So great job, really. So as a former president of Magticom Telecommunication, I would like to ask you if you can advise anything to entrepreneurs coming to Georgia, what you could advise them, and is Georgia a favorable business environment for those coming?
Sure. Well, I mean, I won't speak for Magticom. I left Magticom, I retired 4 years ago, but I can certainly speak for the European Business Association.
At the present, sure.
Which currently I'm the CEO of. I've been here a long time and I've seen many changes. What I truly believe, and the reason I'm here, and didn't sort of just retire back to my big house in England, is because there's really never been a better time to invest in Georgia. If you look back over the 16 years I've been here, 17 years now, and say, well, when was the best time? Well, now is the best time. And
may I ask, why do you think so?
Sure, I mean, there's many reasons. But I mean, the first reason is that when we compare Georgia to our surrounding neighbors, we're ahead. We're ahead of every single parameter you can pull out of a hat. There's nothing, I don't think, try. What would one of our neighbors be better at than us?
All the neighbors.
All of them.
Wow.
Well, which one? I mean, what? I mean, take any of them. What would be better? Personal safety. Here's the safest place. Rule of law. He has got the best rule of law. Democracy. He has got the best democracy. Perspective. He has got the best perspective. Of course, we're not the biggest, but as an investor, size matters, of course, but that also has some disadvantages. So, try going into China right now, and yeah, of course there's potential there, but it's a big bite. Georgia's manageable. You can understand Georgia quite quickly. And I think that the parameters are all going up. I mean, I guess if we'd have been having this interview even a few weeks ago, we would have been saying, oh, will the tourism industry recover? And what about the exchange rate? We've got an exchange rate problem, or we might be saying.
But it drastically changed.
No, I mean, everything's going in the right direction. If you want to invest, now's a good time. I mean, at any time, in business terms, we call it a balance sheet. It's like it's a snapshot. Where are we today? And if your question is, where are we today? We're in a very good place. If your question is more like, P&L, where are we going? We're going ahead. If we look back, say 10 years or so, what is that, 2011? What's changed? Well, we're clear now. We're clear. This is not a battle between two opposing major political forces. Are we going back to Russia, or are we going to Europe? I mean, that is not a debate I can see amongst business people today. I really don't see that debate even taking place. I don't know anybody that actually thinks seriously that what we should be doing is going back towards the Soviet Union days. I mean, I don't know any business people. There might be some people, I don't know, maybe some people think that. But I don't hear anyone seriously arguing that. So from a business perspective, the debate is kind of over. And you have a rather bizarre situation in the country where there's a lot of people in politics arguing that I'm more European than you. And you say, no, I'm more European than you, David. And I say, well, I've got European shoes on. And you say, yeah, but I've been to London. And I say, well, I am from London. And you say, well, no, I'm more European. And if the political parties want to do this, that's okay, that's fine. So the business people can say, well, where's the country going? Well, it's going to Europe. That's a big plus. And then you look at the other economic parameters, and we've just had, I think, the highest rate of growth ever. It's 25% real GDP growth in May. Now, of course, it's exceptional circumstances, but I'm the kind of guy, you see, that says what's going well, not the kind of guy that says, where's the problem? So I'm saying there's an opportunity here, right? I can give you some problems that might occur, and I can sort of create an argument that some things are very bad. But I can also say, very honestly, it's never been better than this. And if I had a couple of $1 million or 10, well, I do, I mean, I'm invested. But I mean, if I wasn't invested and I came to this country, I would say, wow. I mean, look at where we are. I mean, like, we're in Georgia. Wow. So go somewhere else, go somewhere else. Where are you going to go? And go to any of our neighbors, and are you going to be sitting in a room like this and going, wow. Yeah? I mean, really, you've been to these countries. Are you really going to go, wow? No. You're going to go, okay, but there's a few, like, really big problems here. And in Georgia, it's like, wow. This is cool. And therefore, yeah, in answer to your question, absolutely is manageable. And the upside is absolutely enormous. The upside, quite simply, is that before you're, while you're still very young, we might be in the EU. We might not. Okay, but we might. It's not like there's no way. It's not like we're not trying. And if that happens, of course, there'll be another big boost. So the basic fundamentals of Georgia are good. And I think that it's never been better. Mm-hmm. That's my position.
That's great. Really happy to hear such a positive attitude towards Georgia, since it's also my country. And I'm really proud of it.
It's your country.
I'm proud of it.
And you should be proud of it. I mean, why wouldn't you be proud of it? I mean, you could have been born in one of the other countries, and you were born in this country. I mean, talk about getting lucky. You got lucky. You're a Georgian.
Yeah. Oh, thank you. That's amazing. So there are several reasons to be proud of, not only history. Georgians say, oh, we have amazing history, so we should be proud of. No, we are proud of the present as well. We should be proud of the present. Yeah. Thank you for that. In the beginning of coronavirus, since March, the economy has shrank like 12.3%, and the GDP rate fall by 5%. But you're saying that now it got recovered really fast. What could be the reason of recovery? Like how did it happen? What do you think?
Yeah, I mean that's pretty straightforward. First of all, the government. I don't want to mention politics here because I'm kind of speaking for the EBA now, and we don't ever talk about politics in the European Business Association, ever. Never have, never will. Okay, but what happened during the coronavirus and what the government did, or the authorities, not the government, let's call it the authorities, because of course a lot of this was done by our medical profession.
Yes.
So let's call it the authorities.
Yeah.
They did it right. I mean, they did everything right. I'm not a doctor, but the people I speak to who are medical professionals in the UK say, no, Georgia got it right. They did
really
everything.
Fast.
They did it fast, they did the best they could. And right now, I mean, who's got vaccines, right? With the rich countries. I'm fully vaccinated, right? Yeah, but I got the second one here. I got the first one in England, and I flew in 2 months ago and got the second one here.
Was it a same vaccine? Or?
Yeah, it was AstraZeneca. Yeah. And if I'm honest, it was better here because it was quicker here. And actually, it was better here because there were like 3 people giving me if that matters, I don't know if it matters, but in England it was like 1 person and another, 2 people, and here it was 3. And in England it took about 4 hours to do all the processing, and here I think I left my house, took a taxi, had the jab, came back within an hour. So I mean, the actual time in the hospital was about 30 minutes. So I think one of the reasons we're in good shape is that the government, the authorities didn't make any big mistakes. They just did it right. And of course, a lot of people died, and even then, I guess someone can say we could have done it better, but I don't know how. And I would challenge anyone who's not some very deep expert to say we made a lot of mistakes, because we didn't. And the second thing, I don't know, because I've been thinking about this a lot. Why are we not in a worse state? And I think the factors are something like this. Some of them are macro factors, and some of them are more specific to segments. On a macro level, like as a country, Georgia's well protected because we actually have all these farms. We have these micro farms in the regions. So that didn't really affect them because we have a whole sort of a subsistence economy going on here. So we have enough food, we have water, we have wine. But I mean, just because there's a major problem with the economy doesn't mean people are going to go hungry immediately. So that just carried on as it always does. The other thing that I found extremely surprising is that although our major industry in many ways, tourism, had to close, they didn't close. They didn't just go away. We have a lot of hotels in the European Business Association. I mean, great hotels, I won't start naming them because I might miss one out, but all the ones you'd expect. And these big hotels, they didn't close their doors, right? They did the best they could to keep going. They had to let some staff go, right? But they kept some on board. They kept it going. They kept the infrastructure, they kept it clean. They kept it ready. If they could, they kept a coffee shop going, or they did some stuff with the people who had quarantine. So they did their best. And secondly, we never stopped building hotels. Now that is amazing. I mean, that surprises me. So in the middle of a pandemic, when the rest of the world is running around, we use this expression in England, a headless chicken. If you cut the head off a chicken, and have you seen this on The Village? It carries on going, yeah? And you've got the rest of the world literally running around like this. And in Georgia, it's calm and people are a bit fed up, but and in the rest of the world you've got massive demonstrations with people saying we shouldn't wear masks, or let's change the government, and here it's which surprised me, Georgians are quite
adjustable to situation.
Well, Georgians can be quite, I'm not going to listen. They're like British people, they're like the Brits, really. It's no, I'm not going to do what the government tells me, right? I'm a Georgian, I'll do what I want to do. If it's a stupid law, for example. But no, I mean, the minute they said, look, you need to put a mask on, people put masks on. When they said stop going to restaurants, people stopped going to restaurants. and they didn't do anything silly. There were no crazy demonstrations, I mean maybe a few, but people just kind of understood. We got our best professionals out there and we did well. And people continued to invest. Now that was surprising. So the farms carry on going and the building trade more or less carries on going. We're still building stuff all over the place. So now when we restart the economy, everything's there. It's still there. In countries, other countries, this stuff is gone. They've closed the business down, they're bankrupt. So even without the ability of the government to subsidize, because obviously they don't have the money that say the British have, or the French, to give people money, they did the best they could. And they also got a lot of help from the European Union and from the United States of America. And I think the government, again, were very clever at making sure that our friends helped us. Because sometimes governments can be very difficult, and they weren't. They took advice, they took the money, they took precautions, and we were ready. And now that we see globally this pandemic getting better, and like most of Europe, the whole of UK now I think is vaccinated, Europe's coming back online. People want to go on holiday, and it's like, let's go to Georgia. And just yesterday, I was with a couple that I'd known from Russia. They're American, they used to work for the embassy there. And they just out of a spur of the moment, they were in Dubai and they flew here for 4 days and they've had a good time. So I think that we simply did a good job, a very good job. The businesses carried on investing. The farms did what the farms always do, pandemic or no pandemic, and we're in pretty good shape. A lot of people have had a terrible, terrible time, but it's not broken. It was just turned off. And if you don't break the economy, if you just turn it off, and some of the parts of the economy, our ag and our building trade was carrying on, then we're just basically letting the brakes off. So, you know, the engine was ticking over. So what we're in now is we're in a car. I suppose your generation, we're in a Telsa, right? And we've just been sat there without our foot on the brake, and now we put our foot on the accelerator, and the car is fully charged and bigger than it was before it started. We've got more hotels now than 2 years ago. So, yeah.
Probably they had time to build hotels because of this pause, break.
But they didn't stop. If you went to Batumi, which I did this year in April, and last year in November, I was there because the Hilton is on our board, right? The person who runs the Hilton is on our board, and I went to see him both times, and they never stopped. The hotels stopped taking guests, but they didn't stop building things. So this is pretty unique. I don't think this happened in other countries, and I think therefore we're in good shape.
They had something reserved, probably like some money and
business.
Yeah.
Business is about making money, right? Bottom line. And the government can do things and it cannot do things, but businessmen go where there's money to be made, okay? And businessmen invest, and businesswomen, I'm sorry, I'm old, I still use businessmen a bit too much, I'm sorry. But business people invest where there's money to be made. Whether the government is doing absolutely the right thing or not, if they see an opportunity, they will invest. So what you see is that the businessmen and women who wanted to invest in Georgia, even a pandemic, a global pandemic, did not change their confidence that this was going to get fixed. Why would you build a hotel in Georgia? Because the country is not going to change. I don't care what happens, right? There's been a war in my time. There's now been a pandemic in my time. Did Georgia change? No. It's still the most beautiful country in the world, physically. There's nothing even similar. Nothing. I've been all over the world, but there simply isn't. It's not. I'm not being nice. I'm just saying, where's better? There is nowhere better. You might find a higher mountain, a bluer river, you know, a greener field, but all together within the space of 5 hours train, nowhere in the world. So you have like this place made for tourism. Well, that's not going anywhere. It's staying exactly where it is. And if you want to put a hotel in a place that's made for tourists, then put it in Georgia. And the investors saw that and they carried on. Investors are driven by confidence. Confidence. I could offer you a 50% return right now, in a year with no risk. And if you don't trust me, and if you don't have confidence in your environment, you won't invest. You want to invest, will you? Because you're online, you see something on your news feed, oh, send 50 euro, and I'll say, no. But Georgia is driven by confidence. And luckily, when I came here in 2004, I got that this was going to be okay. And I still get it today. And I made decisions that have made me very happy. Because
never the downfall, always.
Yeah, obviously, you come into a country that's just had a revolution. You see the Russians coming from Gori, and you're in Magticom's control room, and you're thinking, oh, this is a problem. What are we going to do when they get here? Or in 2012, you realize that something is badly wrong with all the demonstrations and things, and you think, but I never ever for 1 minute thought that this was going to fail, because I'm in Georgia. I feel the same way in England, because it's like, I'm in England. Like, what's going? Come on, like, what's going to happen?
Exactly.
And I get
but
that
then, if you compare England to Georgia, it's like economic-wise, socio-economic-wise,
Georgia's bigger. Sorry, England's got a bigger
economy.
It's more advanced, but they're both the same idea.
But when you feel the same in both countries,
because it's a nation with a huge history of thousands of years, and these nations, France, Germany, Georgia, England, the United Kingdom, the United Kingdom is 400 years old or something. I mean, like, the UK can trace its kings and queens back 2,000 years. Georgia goes 4,000 years. I mean, come on, what can be so bad that you're going to disrupt this? Of course, you're going to have downs, but a clever investor invests on the down, not the up. And we're already on the up. Georgia is a buy. In 5 years' time, people will still be coming and investing, and they'll wish they'd been here today. That's what they'll wish. I mean, in 5 years' time, if I'm still kicking, if I'm not dead or something, let's have the interview again and tell me, was I wrong? And I could have done this at any time in the last 20 years I've been here. At any time, if we go back 5 years, or 4 or 3 or 2, I've been saying the same thing. It's going to get better, and it always has. Look where we are in this beautiful terminal building, and go outside onto Abashidze and tell me that looked like that. Even 5 years ago, it didn't. It's better today. 10 years ago, it was worse. 15 years ago, it was worse. 20 years ago, it was worse. What does that mean? It's better, it's better, it's better, and it's going to be better again. So it's a good time.
Nothing stops Georgia to develop. It's kind of protected with special forces or something.
No, it's protected by a culture and a people.
Yes.
And the good thing about the Georgian people, and this we talked about this a bit earlier, is that the new generations are coming up. Generation Z is here, and they don't look back. They don't even watch Georgian TV, which is a good thing. Yes. It's a very good thing.
Yeah,
don't
it's
watch
very
Georgian
negative.
TV. Right.
Yes.
So they don't watch TV. They get it off the news feed, and that's not controlled by anyone. The political parties are not really there. So I think that the new generation, if you want to go forward 20 years, this is an amazing opportunity.
So you have founded European Business Association 4 years ago. What made you to form this association, and what do you exactly do?
Sure. 4 years ago in July, we had our first board meeting. And the reason for the formation was that we believed that Georgia is now on the trajectory towards the European Union. And therefore, very soon, which is our vision, doing business in Georgia will be the same as doing business in Europe. It doesn't mean we have to be in the EU to do that, but that is going to be what it's like. And to do that, we need to bring in European standards and European values. And we went to ask some embassies and some businesses if they agreed with us and whether there was room for another association. And they all said yes, so we started it. And of course, we have some high standards to fulfill, because the American Business Association, which I was the president of, between 2008 and 2012, is an amazing organization. So we had to really very quickly get our standards up. And over the last 4 years, we've gathered together over 100 companies that are all European or trade with Europe, and all have good standards. And we have a very clear policy. We won't take companies on that don't follow our values. We have a code of conduct. We will not accept cigarette companies under any circumstances, no tobacco. We won't accept companies that have no safety standards, about food or personnel. And we've built a brand, the European Business Association, and we've recently won a competition for a grant from the European Union. So when we started this, because this is what we wanted to do, we didn't take any grants, we just built it. And this is based on the concept of civil society, which is that we wanted to be a grassroots civil society organization that came together because a group of people wanted to make a statement. And we did that, and we've done that. And now we're sort of bigger now and better financed. But we'll carry on doing what we've always wanted to do, which is to help businesses that are here from Europe and to help Georgian businesses who want to export, trade, go to Europe, because that's the future now. The future isn't building more Magticoms. The future is getting companies that can trade with Europe. Today, as you're very interested in the future, it seems, the biggest company in Georgia in 10 years' time, you don't know it, because today it doesn't exist, or it's very small. Because there's going to be some companies in Georgia now that become successful in Europe, and that will mean they'll be bigger than anything that currently exists in Europe. Because if you take just 1% of the European market, that's already more people than live in Georgia. So it only takes one company to find a product or service that it can sell successfully into Europe, and it will be bigger than anything that currently exists today in Georgia. Mm-hmm. And we are going to be part of that process.
Oh, that's amazing. So it's like ongoing process, right?
Absolutely. We're simply putting ideas like this into the heads of young people like yourself and saying very clearly that there is no reason at all why a Georgian company can't be successful in Europe. No reason. And people need to start trying, and they are. A lot of our members are doing it today, and one of our members is going to get extremely successful, and they're going to make TBC Bank and Bank of Georgia and the big phone companies look small, because they will have this enormous potential that nobody who trades only in Georgia can ever have. It's just common sense. So that's what the game we're in. It's this big visions to the West, to Europe, and it's going to happen.
Good luck with that.
I don't need luck, I'm telling you, I'm just telling you.
That's happening for sure.
Whether we're here or not, our job is to try and make it happen faster, and to try and, I think, as I've said earlier, to focus the minds of young entrepreneurs and young Georgian entrepreneurs, not on what you can achieve here, because it really is nothing at all in a global stage. You need to be successful elsewhere. Now, I can't help you be successful in China, or if that's where you want to go, or the Middle East, because I don't know how to do that. But I'm a European. I do know how to do it. And I'm telling everyone it, and I've been doing this for many years. There's nothing in Europe that a Georgian can't do better. Nothing. If he just has a better idea and more energy, and he somehow gets the necessary, or she gets the necessary resources together, and we want to be part of that process. We want to be part of that process. And don't think I'm talking about startups here. I'm not talking about startups. I'm talking about anybody, any product.
Any product. Any field.
Right.
Okay.
Some of the biggest companies we've got right now exporting to Europe are selling furniture.
Okay.
And everyone at the moment, which is fine, is focusing only on the idea that it has to be something that you put in a computer and it goes big. Of course, that's a huge opportunity, but everything's an opportunity when you have a big market. So anything that can be made or sold can be done here, anything, or at least by a Georgian. The Georgian might have to be somewhere else to do it, but anything can be done. So the question now is someone trying? And I don't believe necessarily that enough young Georgian people are getting this kind of message. Lift up your eyes, come on, look. Everyone's talking about Europe. Go to Europe. It costs $20 to fly to Europe if you can get the necessary paperwork now on the Wizz Air, and it started again. So get yourself over there.
Did it start already?
I think it's just started, yeah. So the point being that there's no barrier now. It's not like we're in the Soviet Union or we're in a civil war or something, or the Russians are invading. Don't just think about Georgia. Think that I've got
outside the box.
Yeah, because I've got this huge opportunity. I'm a Georgian in Georgia. This is cool. So I can build stuff here, but think about Europe. And if enough young people do this, it's just logic that someone is going to get, lucky, I suppose you might put it. Someone's going to hit it, right? Hit the right idea and then go for it. And it doesn't have to be someone on a computer writing an application. It could just be someone who has a really cool idea for a type of, physical product or a food type or a service that no one's really thought about. And if we can get enough people to think this way, it's going to happen. And we're doing this. I mean, we have EBA Youth, specifically designed by Generation X for young people. And it's happening today. And I believe in this. That's why I'm here. I believe that this is going to happen.
Thank you very much, Mr. David Lee, for such an optimistic interview. And we should never lose hope and be as optimistic as Mr. David Lee is. And everything's going to be great. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Nice to meet you again.